Hello and welcome to another Cliff Reviews Art House. This time I'm reviewing the film Alpha, directed by Julia Ducourneau. So Alpha is definitely not a film for everyone, but wow, I absolutely loved it. I've already seen it twice and I'm probably going to go and see it a third time while it's still on at cinemas. So I've come to the view that Julia Ducourneau is one of the greatest living filmmakers making work today. I've gone back and watched Raw and Titane again. Although she's only made 3 features, this is already a coherent body of work. You can definitely see some common threads, but each film is distinct. She writes her own films, and I love this. The work feels very personal. All 3 films are about family relationships and love, but then it feels like they're about so much more as well. I hesitate to say this, but it feels like Ducourneau is making work at the level of Cronenberg or Lynch. Her work contains body horror elements, some of which are really gruesome. I wouldn't like this if it was only for the sake of it, but I think that all of the body horror in her films serves a higher purpose. This is an auteur who has a lot to say. Alpha has had quite mixed reactions. I think that one issue is that Raw and Titane had extreme body horror that really made you wince. In Alpha, the body horror is definitely not as grotesque or hardcore. This film isn't as shocking or provocative in the same way, and if someone came to watch it expecting it to be the same, I could see why they would be disappointed. Also, the film is a slow burner. To be honest, on my first viewing, it did take me a while before I really felt engaged with it, but it's worth the patience. By the end, I felt very emotional. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian gave it 1 out of 5 stars. He called it unpersuasive and tedious, and he said that the emoting dial is turned up to 11, yet it feels redundant. This just shows how personal art house cinema is. I thought this film was deeply touching. I think that it's easily my film of 2025 so far. Many have made the point that this is about AIDS or even COVID, and this is a kind of obvious interpretation. I think that Ducourneau has explicitly said that it's not about AIDS, yet the virus in the film unmistakably echoes an AIDS-era infection that passes through blood and sexual contact. The film is also obviously about addiction. Alpha's uncle, Amin, is a drug addict, and she is perhaps on her way to becoming an addict too. I think that it's in addiction where the depth of the story really lies. The film doesn't have obvious meanings. It's a film with a lot of abstraction. There are plenty of ambiguities that mean it'll speak to different people in different ways. I think she gets the balance exactly right between provoking enough thoughts for the audience, but then leaving it up to us to decide. For me, this is the best type of filmmaking. I do think the virus is a metaphor for addiction. Watching Raw again, I think that that is also has addiction and eating disorders as a theme. It feels like these issues are very personal to Ducourneau. In Alpha, the turning into stone perhaps represents the life sapping away from the addict, the inevitable impact of addiction. I've also recently done a review of Die My Love by Lynn Ramsey. It's a brilliant depiction of mental illness, but I found it miserable. There's no relief in the misery. I think the genius of Ducourneau is that there is a transcendent element to her films. There's hope in her films. All of her films are about love and family in dysfunctional situations, so they all have love and connection in them. These are films about love, even when the circumstances are broken. But then in Alpha, there are these beautiful moments of connection, moments of grace where 2 people with great difficulties connect. We don't know for sure that Alpha is an addict, but she identifies with her uncle in a way that her mum can't. I think this is why there's uncertainty about whether Alpha has the virus or not. She hasn't yet developed into an addict, but the potential is definitely there. So this is a key thing for me in the film, the connection that exists between Alpha and her uncle Amin. We see this first in a scene where they hug in the bedroom. It's like sick people can connect with each other in a unique way. There's a real grace in this scene. Also, when they're at a party together getting high, we see them transported onto a sports field, happy. It's like they connect when they're high. Perhaps this gives an insight into how there is a pure element to getting high. The addict feels normal even if only for a short moment. Also, the smile that Amin gives Alpha at the end of the film confirms this unique connection for me. The mum can't relate to Amin in the same way as Alpha, but she is compelled to keep helping her brother in the way that partners and friends of addicts get drawn into the other person's addiction. At one point, she says to Alpha, "If something happens to you, it happens to me," which I took as a nod to her acknowledging her codependency. Like many family members, she's along for the ride. The film isn't just about an addict, it's about the grief of those around the addict as they gradually lose their loved ones. I think this is a really interesting aspect to the film. Like the addict, she gets what she needs sometimes from continuing to rescue him. There are some small, beautiful moments of tenderness, like when he asks to live with her and Alpha. He smiles when talking about sitting watching TV together. There's real warmth here. Another very satisfying thing about this film is that it's not always clear whether we're seeing reality or not. At school, Alpha draws attention to a line in an Edgar Allan Poe, "A dream within a dream." The whole film has a dreamlike quality with various dreamlike scenes. An early one sees Alpha on metal scaffolding with wind shaking it and plastic flapping. It's very dramatic. The film starts out mainly linear, but then some quirky things start happening. Time periods get mixed up. Characters appear in the wrong scene. This emphasizes the moments of grace, I think. There's a kind of gritty spiritual ascendance, but in a very down-to-earth way. There's an interesting scene in the film where Alpha is with her family and they're speaking their native language, which she doesn't understand. At the end of the film, she sings a song to her mum in that language, and her mum asks her, "Do you understand?" She says, "No, it's just the song." I think this is very significant. Perhaps I am overreading this, but I think that this is to do with addiction too, at least with being the other. Alpha, as the potential addict, can't quite connect with normal people. She connects most with the sick uncle. She can't completely connect with her mum because she doesn't really speak the same language. I've said that Alpha is a slow burner, but as the story evolves, there are times when the film doesn't hold back. It's not subtle. At times, the drama is ramped up. It is full on at times. Peter Bradshaw is right that it has the emoting dial turned up to 11, but it's absolutely not redundant, as he said. For me, it was deeply moving and affecting. It grabs you and it takes you on an emotional journey. At least that's my reaction to it. The music in this film is fantastic. It does a lot of work in creating the mood and emotions. The score by Jim Williams is really moving and beautiful. Interestingly, Ducourneau also uses a number of hit records. I heard her say in an interview that picking well-known popular songs for the film is part of her writing process. The words are very significant for her, and once she's chosen the songs, she can't not use them. I sometimes wonder why someone who's so talented at writing and directing would want to start with someone else's music. But I do think that she pulls this off. The music works very well. Although there are times when it becomes a little bit like a music video because we literally get whole tracks played. I've been listening to the Nick Cage and Portishead tracks repeatedly again since, experiencing the emotion again of the scenes that they accompany. The cinematography is fantastic. The colours are often muted, greys, blues, and then from time to time the red dust to denote the virus. All of these colours are like the whole world has been infused with dust. There's a lot of close handheld camera work with a lot of camera wobble with close shots. It feels very intimate. Even though it's slow and requires patience, I think this is exciting filmmaking. I loved The Substance last year, which was also very exciting filmmaking. And I loved One Battle After Another this year, which I thought was thrilling too. Alpha tops both of these for me. It has a kind of metaphysical depth that goes beyond either of those films. I can't guarantee that you'll like it, but I would say that this film is an absolute must-see. I give it my highest recommendation. Well done, Julia Ducourneau. I can't wait to see what you produce next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.